the Al-Ula venture, and you mentioned it. It would have been better if we could have done it together because and this was I felt sort of like you because you were going to take a run at it and it didn't work out. And I think it might be curious to our listeners because you probably heard a lot about Al-Ula. I mean, it's part of Saudi Arabia's significant tourism push. Um, what is it? Can you get to it? What's it like when you get there? And my experience actually might be useful because it wasn't a luxe experience. I mean, I decided that I needed to get to Riyadh and Jeddah like in mid-February, and I needed to do it before. I wanted to do it before Ramadan, so we're talking March. So anyway, so I hadn't, and then I'm going, okay, if I'm going from Riyadh to Jeddah, I might as well try to get to Al-Ula. Let's see what we have. Um, so to start the beginning, and you know this well, Lucian, visas, ridiculous.
It's
20
so good now.
online, simple, turnarounds quick. Oh, it's just, you know, like we've talked about. If you're just new to the kingdom, you go, oh well, what's the fuss? For those of us who've done this over the last few decades and previous, it's quite a fuss. It's really neat. So visas easy to get. Um, Flights. I mean, Riyadh to Al-Ula, no problem, no problem. And I went from Al-Ula to Jeddah. So I got there on a Thursday night, which is their Friday. Um, Al-Ula Airport. I was laughing with somebody. I think it was somebody at PIF we both know, and they were talking about the Al-Ula Airport. He says it reminds me of Aspen. It's just like a nice little new regional airport. Very pretty. I love regional airports because they're human sized and easy in, easy out. I arrive at you know 10:30 at night. I couldn't because I was late to the game, and this is one of the issues I think they're facing right now. You have the Lux, you have the Habitas Al-Ula, you have the Albanian tree. You have some Lux options, but really you need to have done that. It's about much more advanced than I have. I ended up staying at the Diamond, which I got through Booking.com, which was right outside the town of Al-Ula. Um, and Al-Ula itself is like 200 miles northeast of Medina. Um, so and it's in a valley. So anyway, it was nicely located. The place was perfect for me. I mean, it was six rooms. I didn't see barely saw the proprietor. I got a ride in, but the place was clean, nice shower, nice light, bunch of outlets, which is always a plus. Decent internet, decent Wi-Fi. So it was great for me. And one thing to remember if you're going to Al-Ula, and Lucian, we've talked about maybe renting a car sometime in the future if like we were there in Riyadh, and I don't think getting around is the problem, parking's the problem, but you could rent a car in Al-Ula. I traipsed around a little bit with a guy I met from Belgium, and he had rented a car, $80 for 3 days. It was a good deal, and you can go and get anywhere you want and park and that sort of thing. And you hook up on the Al-Ula experience or Visit Saudi websites, and you sort of you sign up for tours to all the different places, and they have different experiences and that sort of thing. So all that part is well run, at each of the stops, and I'll get into the stops and why you might want to go to Al-Ula. At each of the stops, nicely staffed, Saudis, a lot of them young women. There's a Taiba University Al-Ula branch right there, so a lot of the young people I met there, had gone to school locally, and they were kind of excited because at least these are jobs and lots of jobs. So the sort of the tourist experience, the access experience was good. What's missing, I think, right now is that middle market hotel. There's not a Boodle there, or there should be a Marriott Courtyard, or do you know what I mean? You sort of have the Lux, and then you have other things. And then of course you don't have a big infrastructure of, if you're talking about Western tourists, of places to eat. I mean, I hit the Kudu, a couple times, and a local restaurant, which I highly recommend if you're ever there, Matam Al Bukhari, sorry, which was awesome. Uh, but anyway, so you can see that it's nascent, it's young, but a lot of the infrastructure is in place. All right, so why would you go there? The place is unbelievable, Lucian. It's fascinating. So historically, it's on the incense route. So Greece, Greco-Roman empires, frankincense and myrrh and incense and spices and that sort of thing all came up along that coast from Yemen and point south up into Europe as we know it today. And Al-Ula was an oasis sort of on this route, and it's been sort of settled since 8th century BC. And one of the tours I did was to go see sort of the legacy of the Dadan uh, settlement. And the Lihan, and I don't know if I pronounced that right, was actually a civilization, and the Dadan was mentioned in the Bible, is mentioned in the Bible. Lihan was a civilization that settled the area, and there's fascinating inscriptions and that sort of thing of people traveling through, because the geologic formation is sandstone. You have a lot of crypts and graves and monuments that are carved into the mountainside, which is what makes it so interesting. So you go there and you see that 8th century one, and then there's then beginning in second century AD, you have the Nabateans who did Petra, and they settled in Hejra, and that's where all the amazing carvings and rock carvings are. Just stunning, and huge, you know, uh, spaces and rooms and burial sites, carved into the sides of mountains and rock formations. Um, and then you've got Al-Ula, which is the old town, which first settled in the 6th century BC. Um, and you can tour the old town, which, and this is what blew my mind. So basically, so you have some really fascinating historical things there. Geologically, it's amazing. It's just stunning. You just walk around or ride around and go like, oh my God, this is insane. It's like, I don't know, Cappadocia and Eastern Turkey. I mean, these weird, or the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland. It's much bigger than that. It's a whole valley. It's in the Hejaz Mountains and Sandstones Mountains, and it just, I guess there's some similarities maybe to the American Southwest, but geologically, it's just stunning. And of course, it's interwoven with the desert. So you have, these amazing sand dunes going through these incredible rock formations that have been carved. And it's just stunning. And I would love to just spend time, crashing about, looking at everything. I was there for a day and a half. In no way you can see, if you really want to get out and do it. But it's cool. They have venture tours. You can go, you can zip line, you can bike, you can hike. All the things we'd probably like to do if we had time. Um, I saw Elephant Rock, I saw Hydra, the Don, Al-Ula, the Old Town. And the thing about Al-Ula, the Old Town is you go and you see it and you realize this mud hut alleyways, you know, uh, that were inhabited up to the 1970s. And then you look, south and north, and you see, newer cities where people move to. Um, it's been an oasis again for centuries. 2.1 million palms, state palms in the valley, and there's citrus and that sort of thing. It's just an amazing location, and they've done a good job, I think, in making it accessible. And it just needs to mature a little bit in terms of, I think, hotel and where places you can stay, and maybe places you can eat. I was because I wasn't on the Lux tour. I think most Americans are coming in on the Lux tour. I didn't see a single American. I saw mostly Saudis, mostly Saudis, which is cool. Europeans, of course, Aussies. Aussies are everywhere. Um, but where I was going and the tours I was doing and the places I was staying, I was the only American around. But, it'd be nice to see more of that because I think a lot of people are discovering it, and it's worth the trip. It's really stunning visually. It's really unique visually, and it's really interesting historically, and it's extraordinarily well preserved. You just don't see. And one of the things I really thought was fascinating for me anyway. So if you go out to Native American, like the Pueblo in Southwest, and you see what they've done. They're the places they built and the civilizations they built, and on mountainsides and this sort of thing. If you see anything that's native to the area, it's kind of a set piece. It's not actually ongoing organic. It's really cool because all these date palms are working farms today. So you can really easily visualize what it was like. And obviously the technology is different, and you have Toyota trucks instead of camels and donkeys and that sort of thing. But the feel is the same. These date palms have been there for centuries. This has been the water and the location have been the key to why people have been there. Um, and you can see why that was. It's very real. It's right there. So anyway, I was blown away. I thought it was a great trip, fascinating. I don't know how other people travel. I would have loved to have just gotten out and walked forever. Um, but it was really well worth it. And when you go, you'll love it, Lucian.
Yeah, I'm very excited, Richard. As you know, I'm 0 for 3 on attempts to go to Al-Ula, and it's always because my windows are always either
Yeah,
one
you're
day or
tight.
shorter. Yeah, it just truly would be impossible for me to go. It would be like a same day there and back trip, which I think does not, especially after this description, seem worth it at all, because it would just be like, hey, cool, and then I'm on
Yeah.
my way back to Riyadh or whatever. That's not how I want to experience. But Richard, that was really cool. Yeah, I mean, it sounds amazing. It looks amazing. And it also, from your description, seems like the type of thing that looks amazing from the outside, but when you're there, it's just when you're inside the experience, and it's incredible just to experience in real life, not through an image on the internet, but it's just a different type of experience when you're there. Would you say that's accurate?
And I think, yes, I think it is accurate. And I want to make clear. I mean, I think there are plenty of travelers who want to go there. Like I couldn't go see the Mariah because I hadn't made an appointment. I hadn't made a scheduled anything or gotten a ticket to any event, and it was too late when I got there. I think there are areas around there that are super luxe, and people will come in and they'll hang out, and it'll be amazing, and it'll be spa like, and it'll be that kind of luxe environment, like luxe experience in a really unique environment, and that has value in of itself because it's so visually striking. Um, I love the. I'm never going to be averse to that. I'm down with that. That's fun. But it also has the historical, geological attraction of going and seeing this really weird ass place in terms of geology, and see what people have done over the centuries, and how they've lived there, and how they left their mark. And uh yeah, so it can cover both ends of the spectrum, I think. And so yeah, it's definitely a worthwhile trip.
Yeah, Richard, it's interesting because I spoke with Ahmed Al Juhani, who's now the CEO of Rua Al Medina, which is their sort of giga project in Medina. They're looking to build 41,000 hotel rooms there, and just sort of really develop that city out. It's not quite, I don't think, a giga project, but it's really close. But I was asking him because he said he was chief development officer and construction officer for Al Ula previously, before taking on the Rua Al Medina project. And I was like, hey, like, it's just interesting that you have just only a few hotels, and those hotels are super luxe. They're 5-star banyan tree and Habitas Al Ula. Like, what was the thinking behind that? Because it's especially last minute. If you want to get one of those rooms, it's like $4,000 or $5,000 a night, which I don't know, maybe is worth it, but it's just a little bit of a tough sell. But so I was asking him about that, and he said, well, essentially what we wanted to do is put those in place first,
Right.
because we really did not want to overdevelop. And if you sort of open it up to all different hotel brands, you could have it, it could risk getting developed in a way that isn't, organic and not sustainable in the normal way, but just sort of, wouldn't preserve the landscape. They still didn't really know what they were dealing with in Al-Ula and the surrounding areas. They were sort of like, hey, this is in a way sort of new to us. So
Right.
we want to have things sort of slow roll. And also, I think strategically that makes sense because you're going to have a bunch of really, you're going to have a lot of influencers that go and visit Al-Ula that are showing their experience online, and it looks really, really luxe and nice, and that sort of sets the tone, so other people can dream of going there eventually. I think the plan is to have some of these middle range hotel rooms there eventually, but I think they're just taking it slowly, and they want those who experience Al-Ula now to have the experience that you had essentially, which is, to really experience the space and connect with nature. And it just is a very new way of doing things in general. I think in Saudi Arabia, it's, patiently, but, with a longer vision to get things right. But Richard, this is just really cool. You mentioned visas. I took a few notes when you were talking. You mentioned visas. It really, we've talked about it on this program, but that is maybe the one thing that Saudi Arabia has done in recent years that really is going to have so many knock-on effects in tourism and travel. I mean, it just is so easy. Like anybody listening to this right now could start applying for a visa in Saudi Arabia and have it done by the time I finish the next segment and have it in their email inbox. I mean, that is amazing. Yesterday, I went to get passports for my two children who are 2 and 1. So, I mean, that involves a passport photo, and then you have to print something online from the State Department and then fill it out and then take it into a center. And then they're like, yeah, we hope we'll get it back to you in 7 to 10 weeks. And I'm just like, 7 to 10 weeks. It's like the end of summer. I mean, it's just sort of amazing. Things are really changing in Saudi Arabia with respect to that. And then Richard, you mentioned flights. You can also fly into another airport nearby. Somebody was telling me, and it's a 2-hour drive from that airport. So I looked at that. It's one of the reasons why I couldn't really go, because the flights to and from Al-Ula are at certain times of the day. As you said, it's a regional airport, so it's not like you can go every hour. But that they can handle that kind of air traffic is really cool. And then Richard, I just wanted to mention, you mentioned Aspen. Aspen is the scariest airport in the entire world. Flying into it, it's at the top of a mountain. And if there's any weather at all, you're like, oh my gosh, I'd really, really prefer to fly to Denver and drive in.
How about the physical thing? Is it maybe? I think it was Aspen, maybe it was Vail. I don't know, but a nice new regional airport, maybe. But yeah, but it's not scary to fly into. It's out, in between the mountains and stuff. I mean, on the valley floor.
Yeah, Richard, but that's so cool that you went and you got to. I think it sounds like too, like you've left the door open some to experience more of it. It's not like you got it and you're good, but that you got a really good feeling.
That's a good point. And yes, I could go and spend more time there. And I think you make a good point too. They really, they need to thread the needle between sufficient stock in terms of hotel rooms and decent, places to stay, and not overdoing it, and preserving the pristine nature of it, and manage it properly. So I absolutely get how they're going about it. And I think it's interesting too. A place like the Diamond that I stayed at, is making some nice money, and there'll be more like that. It's essentially, like I said, it was a hostel or Airbnb, but there's other places like, and I got it through booking.com. You'd appreciate this. So on the booking.com, it said, you settle up with the proprietor. Okay. All right. So when it was time to settle up, I realized, and I had a buddy there who helped me out named Sammy. Hi, Sammy. How you doing? I'm sure you watch the show. he, but you have to pay in cash. So I didn't have enough reals to do that. So I'm, it's a Sunday. So their weekend is Saturday, Sunday. So it's Sunday. I'm heading out that night to Jeddah, and I'm going, oh my God, we have to hit some ATMs, but I'm maxed out. So I can't, they only, especially, when I drop an ATM in Al-Ula, Saudi Arabia, and I live, on the East Coast of the US, there's questions about it. So
a questionable transfer has been made.
I can only take out a certain amount, which was not the total cost. So in classic Saudi, I was talking with the guy. I said, look, I can get it to you, but I can't get any more out. It's just that's my bank won't allow it, and I can't go in the bank because it's closed. It's a sat. It's a, it's just it's uh Saturday, Friday and Saturday. I'm sorry, the weekend's Friday, Saturday, so it's Saturday, which is our Sunday. And he goes, well, okay, how much do you have? So that's what I paid for my room in Al-Ula.
And you're like taking bills behind your back, taking siphoning a few off. Well, I'm a little shorter than I
No,
actually thought
no,
I was.
I gave him what I had because I mean it was less than that. So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was all pretty. It was a nice experience and it was fun to be doing it. And and of course you're in Saudi, so everyone's hospitable. And I do want to commend the folks at the sites. They had experts that would give you a overview of things. You can really, and you would like this. I took a picture of it. I need to send it to you. There's private tours. You can balloon, you can helicopter, you can do other stuff, and then there's private tours, and they have all the old Land Rovers. They're not old Land Rovers, but the same style. So open seat Land Rovers.
Sweet.
They take you around. So anyway, you can access this in any number of ways. I think it's useful to know that here I am, just a schlub going in with no big, no big accommodations or plans, and I had a great experience.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're gonna include some images of Al-Ula. I'm sure everybody that listens to this has seen it or has heard of it. But I mean, even the images, Richard, just are like stunning, and you get anecdotal experiences like this, which is why I think this is such a good segment because you get to hear about it and not just see it. And it sounds like you have to see it, not just hear about it or see things online. So I think this is like, I mean, it's really cool. We'll have images of showing Al-Ula and a couple of maps as well, just to kind of give people an orientation on where it is.
I'll send you some video.
Yeah, it's one of the cool, hot influencers. Like some of my like boys are like, "Hey, what's up with this place, Al-Ula?" Like it's starting to get that kind of. You're seeing enough influencers go there that you see it on Instagram or TikTok, and you kind of start hearing about it. Everybody's heard of Riyadh, but then you have these. It's sort of going to plan in that respect. So
you're gonna love this. So I didn't, I had all these pictures. And by the way, I have an iPhone 8. It just, the place just overwhelmed the iPhone 8. I didn't have enough. Didn't have enough data quality or anything. I mean, it's just too many things to see and view and video and take pictures of. But I wanted a record of the trip, and the kids use Instagram. My kids use Instagram, and so I said, well, I'll just put them up on Instagram, so I have a record of the trip. Oh my goodness, such dad Instagram. They're supposed to be cool. Like your Insta photos are really cool.
thank you.
They're like really nice. They're just really well done. Number one, you look really good in them, and two, the atmosphere is good and the captions really really good. And mine were so dad like. Oh my goodness, it was
Richard,
like
you really know how to compliment a millennial. Thank you very much.
this is the best. They're really good. I'm always impressed with your stuff. And no, but mine are like here's a video of Al-Ula.
I don't know. You're gonna get a lot of. I think you're gonna
No,
get some likes. I actually I didn't see that pop up, so I'm gonna
no,
go
no.
look at them.
I
Shortly.
literally I put it on there so T and Sarah could see it. Because and Jane's on it too. But
Well, I
Sam
have a
doesn't.
nice thing to look at when we finish recording today. I'm
Oh,
gonna get to
it's
see it. But
dorky.
that's
It's dorky as all get
I don't
out.
know. You never know though. It's the type of thing. Instagram, you could hit a hit and it goes viral. So I'm looking forward to seeing
This
it.
would not be the funny thing was at Al-Ula Old Town, and there's right in the middle of Al-Ula Old Town, there's this Jebel Nasser, which is like a rock formation right in the middle. I mean, it's classic. I mean, you go there, and when travelers used to come through in early centuries, if they lost something, there would be a call out at the evening from the Jebel Nasser about such and such was lost. If you want to come get it, and town criers and all this sort of thing. It's just really cool. So you've got this old town, and this rock formation in the middle that sort of split the north and the south side of the town, and you could just see you could just see how organic the whole thing was. And right next to it is a little sort of I guess a satellite store of Harvey Nichols, which made no sense. It's completely incongruous. You had the Harvey Nichols here, and then behind that you had the Old Town. It's that's sort of like modern Saudi Arabia, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah. Amazing stuff. Okay, Richard, my one big thing.
Yeah, sorry, I blabbered way too long.
No, no, it's okay. That's travel stories are meant to be like that, and I think that this was one of the best ones because it's just I don't know, it's really cool to hear about.